Hello, everybody. My name is Mario Sanchez Jr., and this is my CRIM 490 presentation, Crime Prevention Measures and Strategies. Our specific focus today is going to be on violent crimes. Okay. So, to get started on my overview of crime, we first have to ask the question, so why is crime so prevalent? This is obviously because of internal and external factors that we sometimes just can't control. So, crime has always been prevalent, especially in American society. We unfortunately don't live in a perfect utopia as much as we would want to, we just don't. Now, crime is influenced by many factors, but often it's influenced by our behaviors, our motivations, and often greed. Obviously, there's many theories that try to explain why crime happens, but often the biggest factors that contribute to crime are actually environmental, biological, and environmental factors. So, can crime deterrence actually be achieved and how? So, through preventative measures, we can achieve crime deterrence. We deter people from committing a crime by increasing the risk by creating harsher laws and decreasing the benefit of criminal activity and reducing the occurrence of crime and its harmful effects from people and on the society. Prevention of crime is crucial in the development of safe and secure cities and environments, and in helping businesses flourish and create job opportunities for people. So, crime deterrence can be achieved through these preventative measures. So, why is it important to deter people from committing a crime? As I said, to create a safe and marketable society for the citizens that live in these societies, and allow these job opportunities to be created. So why is crime prevention so essential? Um, it's essential because crime will only crime will only drive away businesses, and when you drive away businesses, you're driving away the resources and opportunities that leave with them. So, jobs leaving, schools closings, and assistant programs leaving because it's just not a safe enough environment for them to be in. So, as I'm continuing with this overview, so what are some of the strategies and measures that can be implemented for crime prevention? Um, these strategies and measures should be implemented at a young age to distract youth from actually engaging in deviant behavior. And some people may ask, what's the most effective crime prevention strategy? And I've listed some of the crime prevention strategies that I wrote down in my proposal, which starting with the first one was harsher crime laws. So increase the risk, reduce the benefit, basically make it not even worth it for people to commit crime. Um, and I later talked about sports programs, which was one I really emphasized and really believe in. It strengthens positive behavior. And as I was doing research on sports programs as a crime prevention measure, it found that it was an enabler of sustainable development for youth. And I thought this was super important. It gives a place for the youth to be, and a place for them to be monitored. And I think this monitoring is of children is super important when they're young, because that's when they're most vulnerable. Um, the other measure I talked about was preventative policing, which is the presence of authority. Um, Basically, will reduce the motivation for an offender to reoffend, basically. And then profiling, which was the characteristics of offenders and taking crimes that have happened in the past and the characteristics of those offenders and using them for when the same crime essentially happens again. So, as I mentioned in my previous slide on the importance of monitoring our youth, I asked the question, so why is it so important? And this is because of impulse control. One of the most important, I said this was one of the most important crime prevention methods because being able to recognize low impulse control in youth when they're young is crucial because it's so difficult to reverse or actually fix this, especially in adolescent boys as they turn into men, and they're the most vulnerable when they're younger, especially if their behavior is not monitored. And this is because they are unable to rationalize the consequences of their decisions, and adolescents are just at a much higher risk of falling prone to substance abuse at a young age. And in researching the effects of low impulse control, I found that youth with early onset problems of behavior consistently report higher alcohol and drug use, violent behavior, and impulse control. So this is why I emphasize monitoring in my previous slide. Okay. So moving on to theories. So what is the motivation for people to engage in criminal behavior? And throughout my research, I found three commonalities, which were the lack of resources a person has, the environment a person is in, and their social peer groups, if they have any. And I, throughout my research, I used an integrated theory, which was a combination of three theories combined into one. And these theories were strain theory, social learning theory, and control theory. So this was strain theory. It was the strain and pressure to obtain money and success, obviously, but people to meet certain conditions, and people are likely to respond to the strain by committing crimes. That's why I used an example of petty theft for lack of resources. And moving on to social learning theory, your interactions with antisocial and abnormal peers will often show. And you don't learn crime by yourself. You learn it through interactions and seeing other people doing it. And finally, control theory, the absence or presence of control in an environment will dictate if there is a high level of crime in that environment. I wanted to correlate the three commonalities I found in my research to the three theories that I used in my integrated theory research because I thought they were very similar. So what research method did I use? So I conducted a survey on crime prevention. This was an 11 question crime prevention survey. Majority of the responses I got in this survey were from classmates from this course and many other courses that I'm taking, and some of my own peers. I wanted to conduct the survey method just to get a different perspective of how people think of crime, and not only just get responses from people that are actually in the criminal justice program. And here are some of the responses to some of my survey questions. Um, a lot of them were in agreement that crime is a learned behavior. Crime prevention measures are worth the time and resources used to implement them. Um, the only 50-50 response I got was if people thought low income, high crime rate areas were forced to commit crimes. This was kind of a 50-50 response. And the last response I had was, does crime affect job opportunities? Which majority of the respondents were in agreement of this. Here are some more responses to some of my survey questions. And this one I asked a little bit more personal questions to the respondents. I asked if crime was prevalent in the area that they lived in, their city, town, community. And I also asked if them or any of their family members have ever been a victim of a crime themselves. I asked some more policy questions. Should there be harsher punishment for repeat offenders? To remove the incentive to commit crimes, and should more resources be devoted to low income areas that have high crime rates? Here are some of the last couple of questions I put in my survey, and these were also like in the last slide, some more personal questions that I asked about policy in your community and if there's an emphasis in it, and the majority of people agreed that, or responded that they don't really pay attention to this. And I also asked, will harsher laws on crime increase or reduce the occurrence of crime? And a lot of respondents responded, it depends on the area that they live in. So finally, here are the overview of my findings, and the majority of the results and responses were what I expected, and they were similar to the responses I chose when I took the survey myself. And I took the survey myself because I wanted to use it as a comparison to go off of as I was looking at the results of my survey responses. I found the majority of responses were in agreement with the crime prevention measures and the effort it takes to be implemented in them. And I also found the respondents were more concerned with helping low income environments and providing job opportunities and bringing resources into these communities, which was a pretty good sign to see. And finally, this was a small sample size. I had 58 responses to this survey, and a majority of the responses were students that are in the criminal justice program, and there were very few respondents that were just peers or people who took the survey anonymously. And that is my presentation for CRIM 490.